Hi, everybody. My name is Corey Rosen, and you're listening to the Story Podcast. Today we have on a super awesome guest, Mr. Ethan Frederick. Ethan is from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and he's an artist by the name of Juicebox, as well as a producer under the same name. Ethan is the founder and proprietor of Liminal Space Records, a local production house and startup recording label. Ethan is also the band leader and frontman for Natural Born Killas. Ethan, welcome.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just figured out all this tech stuff, and now I feel really smart and also really dumb at the same time.
All good, man. It's a fun setup.
So, tell me a little bit about where you started in life. Where did music begin for you?
Where did music begin? That's actually something I've been thinking about for a hot minute. Because every time I feel like I figured out, I find something older in my life. Um, for a while, I said I started playing guitar when I was in seventh, eighth grade. I started taking lessons from my dad's buddy. He had a studio, um, but then I got really into electronic music around the same time, possibly before that. I was really into Daft Punk. So it's like where I learned to sample. I was doing like awful remixes. It was when dubstep was huge. Um, but then, you go way back further, and I found out when I was a little kid, I was making demos on my dad's synths and keyboards and stuff like that on Audacity. So I don't know. It was always just kind of something I did in the background, and didn't take serious until I was, you know, uh, probably a depressed teenager and writing songs in my bedroom and not doing anything with them. And then, you meet other people doing the same thing, and then it starts to become something. So it's been always a passive but growing thing in my life.
So, starting for you, would you say it was more of just like working on did you have any like production in your hands, or was it just?
When I got serious about it, I did a little bit. I'm trying to think when we started recording and actually getting into production. I know for a fact that I got a MacBook Pro from a coworker when I was working in TV. The thing died. It turns out it had a recall. Brought it to Apple. They fixed it. I got a free MacBook Pro. Look at that. Recorded a whole EP. Did a whole thing on my own. Then it exploded. The Mac exploded. There was a reason it got recalled. So it died. Lost everything. Got it working again, and learned Logic and FL Studio and sort of taught myself production. And that was the start of learning the more technical side outside of just being like a songwriter on guitar. But from there it just kind of spiraled. I just fell in love with production just as a whole. So thankfully it all comes from an exploding MacBook.
So from there to now, what do you think is your biggest growth?
Biggest growth, honestly, I think it was learning production. I think that was a huge thing for me musically. Because as an artist, like I said, like going from making remixes and learning sampling is one thing, but when you can't really apply it, when you think about it, um, as artists, I'm sure anybody hearing this understands. You're in the bathroom, you're in the shower, you're on the road, you hear things all the time. Um, to be able to either capture that or create that accurately not only takes obviously a little bit of creativity, but it takes a little bit of you know figuring it out one way or another. Either you have to have an instrument in front of you, or you got to memorize that melody. Or some people who know music theory can write it down. I can't. I don't know music theory, so having the ability to produce it, with just a laptop in front of me, really helped. That was when I started to figure out, like, oh, I can kind of do this. This is like easy to a degree.
So outside of Logic or FL, what kind of samples or other plugins do you use? Do you like to use?
Oh man, um, I'm a gear nerd. Like when I was,
Yeah, I can tell
yeah,
from everything you were
I'm
telling me
I'm a
earlier.
total tech geek. But yeah, when I was really heavy into guitar, I was more interested in like sound design and the
Okay.
pedals and the fun stuff I could do with amps and like analog gear than I was being like the best guitarist. Like I can't shred, I can't
Right.
solo, I can a little bit. Um, but I was playing like a lot of heavy metal, but I was also doing a lot of like industrial stuff. So I just loved as wild and interesting a sound I can make. So when it comes to like, in the box production, I love any kind of analog VSTs, anything that's, meant to be like an SSL plugin, something that's pretending to be an old analog console, an old board. I love that sort of stuff. It brings a bit of character, even though it's fake, but it's because the real stuff is expensive. But yeah, I love all of that. I could talk about gear forever.
I'm sure. So, when did you start like the Juicebox project? Was it way back then, or?
No, so that was actually a progression. So I started making beats on this MacBook before it exploded for the third time. That was both a slow progression and like a hard switch. I went from doing like shoegaze and like indie stuff and like heavy metal bands and working with a lot of other people to being the only one organizing everybody and writing the songs, and I just got sick of it. So then while learning to produce and learning to mix and do all the studio stuff, I realized I was already kind of doing, I was already kind of stepping into hip hop again and electronic production. I was, like I said, I was learning a lot of sampling, learning a lot of beat making, and just learning to mix on stuff like that, because honestly, it's so easy to get into. You watch a couple of YouTube tutorials and, you're on it. It's fun, quick, and accessible. So after a certain point, I got kind of sick of working with other people and realized I'm just going to start throwing out my own stuff, and experimenting. Got really into making lo-fi, was posting stuff on SoundCloud, was getting added to a bunch of playlists, and it was just really cool. It was kind of not like popping off, but it was going, it was getting some attention. I was like, oh, this is kind of sick. So I went by a couple of different names when I would release stuff. And they were always like, I never took it seriously. I was like, I'm not going to be a rapper. That's goofy. Me? No, not me. I'd be like that. I would just feel kind of stupid. Like, I don't really want to do that. But like, I'll produce stuff. So I had a bunch of fake rapper names that I would post under, like all my production stuff. And eventually when I was like, man, I kind of have some serious music that I'm making. But I don't want to go by these stupid made up names. And I'm not going to say them so nobody goes hunting on SoundCloud for it. But I actually, Juicebox is a real nickname. Long story short, where I worked, I started working there when I was like, it's a quick enough story. I don't want to just be rambling. So where I worked, I would hang out with sort of the neighbor shop. It was a guitar shop. I don't know if you know Tone Taylor's up at Linnets. Love those guys. While the one owner, John, he used to make fun of me all the time because I started working at my job when I was like 18, 19, maybe a little younger, and be hanging out, loitering in the shop after work. They'd be closing up, and then they'd, crack a case of beer, and there was a couch in there. We'd just be just talking, hanging, playing guitars, and he'd offer me beer, and I'd be like, I got to drive home. I got like a 20, 30-minute drive. And he's like, okay. That's right, you're a kid. And I'm like, yeah. So he started making fun of me, saying he's going to bring me juice boxes. He's like, yeah, I got a juice pouch for you, buddy. Got a juice box in the back there. I'm like, thanks, dude. We'll get there. So then it kind of just clicked, and he just started calling me juice box. And then other people started, catching on to that. And then it was just like, JB's a legit nickname. Juicebox sounds good as an artist. Hell, I'll just use that. It was just kind of like a lazy, I'll throw that together. So, yeah, not the craziest story, but it's a real nickname.
No, it's a nice. I used to have the nickname of Corn because I was in the Boy Scouts, and I was taking the mountain biking merit badge.
Very cool.
And that was when I was 13. All the other boys, pretty much men at that point, when I was 17.
Yeah.
And like it was a hard course. I crashed like 5 times, broke 3 helmets off that thing. Yeah.
That's cool though.
It is cool. It's cool.
That's cool.
Ran right into a tree head first. Cool.
So where did corn come in?
So we were hanging out at one of the stops, and I was eating my trail mix because I was sad because I had crashed
Crashed a couple times. I'd be
crashed a
sad
couple
too.
times. Um, and the boys came over and was like, "Hey, yo, what's your name?" And I'm like, "Chewing." I'm like, "It's corn." Corn. They're like, "Corn? That's a weird name, man." Like, and so I swallowed it and said, "Corey." No, 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 no. Your
No,
name's
your name's
Corn.
Corn. That's good, man.
There it is.
That's awesome.
So you start producing under your name.
Hmm.
What was it like for you to step out into the stage? Was that new for you? Was that something you had to deal with?
So that was another slow evolution. Like I said, I didn't want to rap or be a rapper or anything like
Right.
that. I always, I was always writing lyrics. I was always writing my own songs, but they were never like, you know, like that. It was always different stuff. So my buddy, my one brother who you met, Zach, he's always been a hip hop head, like since we were little kids. He put me onto so much, mostly growing up. Um, I was into like some '90s and 2000s rap, but I wasn't too deep. It was mostly just like um, old school Lil Wayne, obviously Eminem. I don't know anybody who didn't listen to Eminem back then. Odd Future, Childish Gambino, a lot of stuff like that. 50 Cent, but he was like, he'd pull up, put you onto something different every day. So eventually, he had a buddy who found out I was producing and was asking me to make beats for him. Bottom line, he wasn't very good. So Zach was like, "Hey, I kind of want to try. I kind of want to hop on. I have some stuff written I've been sitting on for a bit. It's kind of real. Like, let's just try it." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." It gives me an excuse to record and learn that stuff too. So we did that, and then it was really fun. It was corny and cheesy, but it was really fun, and it was like just kind of natural. Like we threw it together, and it sounded fine, you know. Like we didn't take it overly serious. And then he was like, "All right, you try this. Like I'm getting tripped up here and there." And I'm like, "All right, I'll try it. I'll like give it a shot." Did it. We recorded something, and then we're like, "Yo, this is fun." like actually. So then we kept doing it here and there on just like little songs, just screwing around. And I was still dumping stuff out as juice box and all that. Just a lot of instrumentals, a lot of lo-fi stuff, just electronic, just jazzy stuff, you know. Like coffee bar, cafe type stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was doing. I was just like, I was putting like 20 song projects out all the time. So then when we ended up making something, we made "Aiming for Your Face," which is still up. Looking back on it, I kind of cringe at it, but it's got something.
Older stuff.
Yeah, but it's got something to it. Like I could definitely like, I could see it, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. Then we made another song that was like, oh, this is also actually kind of good. Then we made another one. It was like a whole summer of just stacking all these songs. And eventually my other brother got on it, and he and I started making stuff, and it was even better. It was like, oh, first of all, he's like actually a crazy good lyricist. That came out of nowhere. Yeah, it just, you pounded a few beers one night, and then he hops on the mic with like an insane verse. Like he's, out of nowhere. We're like, dude, what the hell? Where you been hiding this? Like, come on. Sitting in the background listening to us do this. We're like, we're wasting our time. What are you doing?
Right.
Get over here. So he does it. We make a few songs. And we're like, what if we made like a fake band that we could like make merch for? And that's kind of also how Liminal Space Records came up. Not to divulge too much, but we were like, what if we went to shows and like art events, and we sold merch for a record label and a band that didn't really exist? Like we were gonna make hats and T-shirts and like really awesome logos, and like we were giving out cards and stuff. It was great. It was like a kind of like a scam or a prank, but like also something kind of cool. Like it was also the joke was that this stuff doesn't exist. So then we started actually putting it together cohesively. Like we made a few good songs, and I was like, these aren't like Juicebox can't just be like all three of us. Like all my stuff is so different. Like we got to do something new. So we're like thinking of like band names, and we're trying too hard. And then we saw the poster for, or someone on YouTube. I think we watch a bunch of YouTubers, right? They were talking about that movie, Natural Born Killas, with Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. That's it. And we're like, damn, that's a pretty cool title. like we're huge horror nerds, so we look at that and we're like, yo, this is pretty cool. I forget who said it. I think it might have been me who said that. And I was like, what about Natural Born Killas, right? A little flip on it. And then we're like, yeah, that's cool. So we started dumping songs out as that. And then by the time we dropped I Courtney Love You, it got a little bit of attention. And, you know, some people locally kind of noticed it. They're like, hey, is this still like a fake thing? Is this still like a joke? Or are you guys like actually doing something? We're like, we think we're actually doing something now. Like it's slowly just progressed into being like this, you know, actual music project. So after about like a year or two of doing that, we're like, we gotta play live, don't we? Like that's what you do. So we had no idea what we're doing. There's no rap shows in Lancaster. There's really none. Nobody's actually putting on full rap lineups.
There's a few,
but it's not consistent.
Like a few.
Yeah, like you could count it on one hand.
Yes.
Half a hand.
I can count the rappers that I know here in Lancaster on one hand.
Yeah, I know quite a few, but there's a lot of them, and we can get into this later too if you want to talk about that. There's a lot of
yeah, I think we should, because I mean there is talent. You got
there's
like,
a lot of
Lael,
talent.
You got
Yeah.
Exposed Toxic. You got yourself and
thank you.
everyone that goes like with Ronnie
There's
Saturn.
yeah.
Promoter of rappers.
Yeah, so there's a whole world there that I can get into then, but yeah, there's but my point is there's not people putting on rap shows. There's no promoters, there's no booking managers, there's nothing. There's barely any venues. There's like I think literally like 3-4 spots that will put on actual shows, let alone hardcore shows. And we knew what we were doing. By the time we got to I Courtney Love You, the song, we can kind of talk about discography and music types if you want to chat about that, you know.
Yeah.
You're the host, rein me in. But you know, we found a little bit more hardcore stuff. Juicebox was a little more experimental, a little more low key. I was releasing songs on my own that were more jazzy, introspective, kind of low key stuff, whereas MBK was doing the more you know, alternative sort of thing. So we just started hitting up venues. Straight up, I was like, I'll just book the show. I was like, I know a bunch of these local artists, but like, I don't know anybody who's putting on the show. So, one summer, about a year or two ago, I booked a bunch of dates down at a local venue and one or two other places, and I just packed the lineup with local people, big names, like the biggest names I could find, whatever I could do to just try to get people out there, you know, because marketing isn't really my thing. I'm not even good at marketing my own music, to be honest.
I don't know who anybody hears that. It's hard.
Yeah, marketing is very tough. And I'm also, I'm an introvert. I don't really like social media. I'm not one of those guys who's gonna like whip out my phone and, you know, start talking to me like, I just released the craziest song ever. No.
Same.
I don't do that.
Here I am on the podcast.
This is great. No, I much prefer, you know, genuine conversations, you know, sort of real exchanges. Shows are cool. You know, I can turn on when I'm on stage, but after that,
just want to say
we chatted outside. It was very low key. Yeah.
What I experienced on stage.
For sure. Yeah, this is
great. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, you know, it's I don't know. I think of it like a job, kind of. It's you get hired for a gig. You show up, be professional, and like if you get showed up, if you get hired to show up on stage, be entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, gotta be a little bit. You can't just show up. If I showed up on stage with this kind of attitude, people would be so bored. They'd be like, "Get this guy off!" Like, I'm doing my best not to swear because I know exactly what I would say about it too. If I saw someone like me hopping on stage like I am now at like a hardcore show, I'd be like, this is interesting, but I'm going to go outside. It's like, you don't want that. You want people to be interested.
Right.
So
you know what I'd be interested in?
What's that?
You doing an audio.
Wow, that would be interesting.
You got a nice voice, man.
Thank you.
I apologize for yawning, but it's because your voice is
yeah, we have any listeners that are getting tucked in right now. They're snuggled up. Sorry, folks. Anyway, so that's how we got on stage. We got sick of nobody else doing it, so it's a lot of DIY.
So you mentioned I Courtney Love You. Why don't we get into that a little bit? Tell me about the story behind it and the song.
So the title my brother came up with, my brother Andrew.
Got a lot of brothers.
Yeah, I call Zach my brother. He grew up with us, just in our household kind of thing. My blood brother, real brother. We made that song one night. We were making a bunch of like just kind of fun, boppy kind of stuff, you know. I'm trying to think of I had to go through our discography. I gotta remember how we got to that point, but it was like one kind of fun one, just a bunch of nonsense lyrics on the first few tracks, and then we made a couple of more like hardcore tracks, and I was making a lot of like ambient beats. I was pulling like a lot of ambient samples, using a lot of pads, just like real kind of dark stuff, right? So then I made the beat for I Courtney Love You, because I produce everything. I produce, record, mix, master, yada yada. It's a process. I made a verse for it, and I sent him the beat, and he's like, "Oh, I could do something with this. Give me a day or two." I'm like, "Okay." I do my verse. I can't figure out the hook, so I just made up some BS. That little hook section is a bunch of nonsense, but it kind of we blended it. We worked on each other's lyrics, and it became something kind of interesting. And it's both a song that is kind of hard to explain because I never want to sound pretentious, but it's a song that's kind of making fun of rap in a way, and because there's a lot of hip hop artists that really take themselves seriously, a little too serious, and it's like, come on, man. Art is art. I love art, but there's a point where things can drift into like, you got to be self-aware is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Got to be self-aware in what you're doing, what you're making, and you gotta be able to, you know, smile and laugh at yourself sometimes. So some of our frustrations with, you know, whether it's mainstream rap, underground stuff, or even local stuff, whether it's lyrically, sonically, whatever, we kind of distilled into this song, and so some lines here and there are making fun of that. Some of them are tongue in cheek. It's kind of all over the place, but it's meant to just be this like kind of resentful sounding thing. And excuse me. And then his lyrics came in, and he started off with like that like whisper. I don't know if you listened to the song, where he's like, "Keep it quiet, keep it on the low," like that whole thing. And I was like, "Ooh, this is cool. This is cold. This is really cool." And the final line of it is, Courtney came in with the shoddy telling sign this note. It's kind of dark, and this is where, like, I hope nobody's offended by it, but it is what it is. It's art. You know, there's that whole conspiracy theory that Courtney Love killed Kurt Cobain, right? With, like, the angle of how it happened, the note looking weird, like, everything like that. So we're like, you know, it's... I won't get into some of the darker stuff that you could kind of reflect on. I know you like to keep us a little more family friendly, so that's okay. Folks can read into that if they want. If not, it's just a fun dark song. But that's where we got the title, and I Courtney Love You was just like, yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds cool.
They be on this shit.
fuck a God say. Told a little ma, I ain't got time for you today. Ain't my fucking line, maybe we could run away. Dream a little bigger, but for now I play the game. Give a fuck about some fucking fame, that shit lame. Got the next track brewing up inside my brain. Ay, making something new, you see me working every day. Heard you got my style, boy, stay in your lane. Flexing on your bands while your values stay the same. You ain't at the top like you out here trying to claim. Put no fucking working, boy, I bet the results the same. Watch the scene, I hate, stop the change, I'll take the blame. Ay, 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 ay. Pussy band wildin', cutthroat sitting nah, just an island. Landlocked, ain't no need for a boat, ay. By the drown, body end up in a moat, ay, ay. Pussy band wildin', cutthroat sitting nah, just an island. Landlocked, ain't no need for a boat, ay. By the drown, body end up in a moat, ay, ay.
Isn't it so convincing how I'm breathing down your neck? Isn't it so convincing how I'm breathing down your neck?
Keep it quiet, keep it on the low. I be rapping motherfuckers like my last name is Low. Gone for a while, but we back with shot of flow. Say you never see me coming to the beat, start to glow. On the low, keep it real slow. Full 45, stay knowing what you know. Always holding grudges, nah, I never let them go. Never keeping cash, always running out of dough. On the low, keep it real slow. Mask on my face with a chain around my throat. Numbers always rising, all we ever see is growth. Courtney came with the shot, he telling sign his note.
Isn't it so convincing how I'm breathing down your neck? Isn't it so convincing how I'm breathing down your neck?
No. That was I, Courtney, Love You by MBK. Let's, sorry about the echoing, folks. We'll have to figure that out for next time. But, anyway, let's get into some Juicebox stuff.
Sure.
We have some music from Juicebox. What one do you want to talk about first? The Another Talk or the Yume?
I think Another Talk is better. Juicebox stuff tends to be more bubbly, but also kind of melancholy.
Sure.
Whether if it's instrumental stuff, it'll be all over the place. I just kind of work on a whole bunch of different things, and it comes out as it does. But if I'm vocally on it, I usually try to go more in a different direction than I would, in MBK. MBK's got a bit of an aesthetic to it. It's, our logo is like a black metal logo, it's all spiky and cool looking. So it wouldn't be fitting to drop something like Another Talk on there. It's one of those songs that's like, it's a lot of things. I hate to oversimplify, but also overcomplicate some of my stuff, because it just depends. Another Talk was one of those songs that I made the beat forever ago. I make too many beats too often that end up never getting touched, but that's okay. It's most producers, I think we all feel that. And I made the chorus for it one day when it sounded different. The whole track kind of sounded different. It was I think it was like in a different key. It was tuned different and all that. And it was just not sounding great, but I kept coming back to it. And then I made a hook right before the chorus, and then I made a short verse right after it, and it was like all over the place. And then when I finally got it right, it was when I got that first verse done, the opening part of it. And it was like a huge confidence boost. I think I was going through something at the time, so the lyrics kind of reflect that too. Whether it's personal difficulties, relationship stuff, family stuff, just kind of all at once, that really, it can mess with your confidence. And I think Another Talk is about that. I think it's about having another talk that's gonna affect you, mess with you. It's that text from somebody that's like, hey, we need to talk about this. It's like, oh, I know. It's like, I know. A lot of those things. It's about, trying to better yourself and also, try to be confident and self-aware in who you are and all that. But there's a lot of vocals going on in that too. It's like sing-songy stuff in the background that I really like. And once the song was in a place that was like, okay, cool, this is structurally really good, I reached out to a buddy of mine to get the sound sort of right, and he helped me out. Shout out Sam Backrack. He's a mix engineer and producer for G59 Suicide Boys. I'm so lucky to just be in touch with him. Great dude. But yeah, once he kind of helped me get the sound down and finalized, I was like, yeah, this might be one of my best works sonically. I'm really, really proud of that one.
Well, let's take a listen, shall we?
Sure.
Looking to set up demise, look in my eyes, tell me that you feel the night, shivers without your spine, as a mirage. Nobody sit from the natural born killers are hunting, they creeping, they stuck in they cover, they touching the skin, you and make your whole family witnesses, they will be next to the pickets, it tickets me how your whole flappy some chickens, a harvest is coming, I'm telling you now that your favorite rappers are fake as fuck, pointing at shit lame as fuck, feeling that I'm low on low, hit me up, I'll start to duck, call this pussy haters out and see this shit, we're gonna fly. Sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Can't take it no more. You bitches stay flocking. Can't take it no horse. I ride down the street in my Trojan horse. I come in your girl with my Trojan rap horse. I fuck up your boy. Can't show no remorse. But all of these times I had to change course. Man, fuck it this time. I'm taking my force. I love all my women. I can't do divorce. Tonight's the night, just think I might go take a life. You're in my sights, I creep on up and pull my knife. Turn out the lights, trap dynamite to my chest might give you a fright. Grab my chainsaw up and chase you down all night. Keeping it light, keep your bones up on my wall like fire. Sticks and fucking stones may break my bones, but only crow can break my dome. I sit around and fantasize about this shit while I'm at home. My people calling me, balling me, think they tryna reach me, but I'm fucking falling deep. Never to sleep, got fever, dreams of
Alright, and that was another talk by Juicebox. And so how do you decide which one is for Juicebox, which one is for the other?
Like I said, it's a matter of tone, I think, and what the vibe of it is. I think, and I've released some harder stuff, some more experimental stuff as Juicebox. I've got a couple songs with another artist, Space by Sav. I think you met him at the show.
Yeah, I think so.
He's also on LS Records with us. We've dropped a few songs that were more experimental, and I dropped those on Juicebox. And I think because they were sort of outside the box, I felt comfortable throwing them up on Juicebox rather than MK. Whereas I feel like MK is, first and foremost, it's a song I do usually with my brothers, or at the very least, is just more alternative,
Right.
bottom line. cohesive in terms of what I sound like on that and what the beats would sound like on that sort of project. If you really dig, I think you'll find some consistency across both. There's definitely overlap because I mean, like I said, I make every beat for both. I mix, produce it all. You know, it's all my work. So there's clear overlapping between the two, but I think there's a pretty good distinction. And I think with each release, especially going forward, it becomes easier to see like, okay, this is this, this is this. Like the last song we released as MBK, totally different vibe than myself on Juicebox. Also, lyrically, I think on Juicebox I tend to be more, like I said before, a little more introspective, a little more, I try to be a little bit more thoughtful, and I don't always succeed. Sometimes it's whatever. But on MBK, I feel there's a little bit more freedom to just kind of say whatever crazy stuff I can come up with, especially if it's certain songs like August Underground or I Spit on Your Grave, both titles movie references for those who don't get it right away. Those songs, those lyrics are a little more like straight out of a horror movie. You know, it's meant to be so absurd and sometimes so violent that it becomes tongue-in-cheek. It's the same way, you know, you don't take a slasher movie serious. You're not going to go into an MBK song taking every single lyric serious. There's a few songs here and there that are definitely like us trying to get something off our chest, and you could tell the vibe changes. But when it's just like a hard song or a hype song, we're just talking smack. We're just talking evil. We're just playing a character. We're just playing the bit. We're just playing it up as much as possible. It's just fun, you know.
It's not that deep.
No, it's not. Again, relax. Don't take yourself so seriously. Just have fun. Just create. That's what I love, you know.
Well, you mentioned August Underground. We have it here. Do you want to play it?
Up to you.
Let's talk about it.
So that one, brief breakdown of that. August Underground is it's a reference to a movie I don't recommend to anyone. Would you find enjoyment from it? Depends on what kind of person you are. It is for horror nerds. That's it. It's made by a special effects gore artist, and it's a found footage serial killer movie. It's not for anyone, but it's interesting. If you're a horror person, you know, I just went to a horror convention recently, and that's such a blast. So if you're into that kind of world, you might know it, but otherwise, it's just a fun reference. Anyway, the lyrics on that, it's myself and my brothers, Zach and Andrew. And it's literally just talking smack and horror movie lyrics. It's dark stuff, but it's just kind of cartoony and fun, you know. Very much old school Memphis type stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of the bands from a lot of the groups from 90s, early 2000s. They had a very horror aesthetic, and we really love that. It's not something you see a lot in rap, and we think that's kind of fun.
Let's take a listen.
Set up demise, look in my eyes, tell me that you feel the night, shivers from depth of your spine, as a mirage. Nobody safe when the natural born killers are hunting, they creeping, they stuck and they cover, they touching the skin, you and make your whole family witnesses, they will be next to the pickets. It tickets me how your whole flock be some chickens, a harvest is coming, I'm telling you now that your favorite rap is a fake as fuck, pointing at your lame as fuck, peeling at them low on low, hit me up, I'll start to duck, call this pussy head aside and see a shit, we're gonna fly. Can't take it no more. These bitches stay flocking. Can't take it no horse. I ride down the street in my Trojan horse. I come in your girl with my Trojan rap horse. I fuck up your boy. Can't show no remorse. For all of these times, I had to change course. Man, fuck it this time. I'm taking my force. I love all my women. I can't do divorce. Tonight's the night, just think I might go take a life. You're in my sights, I creep on up and pull my knife. Turn out the lights, trap dynamite to my chest might give you a fright. Wrap my chainsaw up and chase you down all night. Keeping it light, keep your bones up on my wall like fire. Sticks and fucking stones may break my bones, but only crow can break my dome. I sit around and fantasize about this shit while I'm at home. My people calling me, balling me, think they tryna reach me, but I'm fucking falling deep. Never to sleep, got fever dreams of.
And that was August Underground. Let's talk about the scene a little bit. You mentioned we do have a scene here, but not a very big one.
No, and not a very diverse one. I'm sure someone would be mad that I said that, but it's true. There's a lot of local artists like their style, like their genre, and they stick to it. And I'm not just talking about rap, but there's not a huge hardcore scene here anymore. There used to be out in Lancaster. I remember when house shows were huge before COVID. There were so many. There was a lot of punk stuff, a lot of really good heavy metal. You remember the Chameleon? If you're from around here, the Chameleon used to have a bunch of.
The owner just
awesome
opened
shows.
up the village.
Oh, is that what he bought?
Yeah, that's what he bought.
Oh, interesting.
So
I wonder if
we're gonna try to get him on the podcast again.
that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to hear that. Do you think he's gonna turn it into a venue or keep it straight up as a bar?
He can't help himself but turn it
Yeah.
into a venue. I feel. You know what I mean?
Hope, man. We need a new place like the Chameleon. That shit. Oh, excuse me. That used to be bumping. Because Phantom Power's cool. And I don't want to get in trouble with Phantom Power, but I think they could do a lot more. Is all I'll say. And I think most people agree with me. They really could.
And they are a little bit limited because of the location, the season.
Yeah, that makes
the college
sense.
season.
But also, they don't do anything for the college aside from allowing the Millersville events to be performed there. They don't do like student discounts or special things for them. Which I'll keep pushing. I'll keep chatting with them about. You know, it's when I put on shows, we keep trying to push, and at least they're open minded. They're very easy and very good to work with. But I would love to see more alternative stuff come through more often, or just eventually see more venues that do that. You know, if Phantom wants to be niche, then let them. I think that's great, but I just think we need more opportunity for a lot of other bands, and I think especially rap and hip hop it's not, I don't want to say forgotten. What is it? It's so left behind here. Nobody supports full rap lineups, and I know that was actually a tough thing for a bit. Not to fully take credit, but before I came in and started kind of trying to regularly get shows every month or every other month at these venues, there was a couple of other people who tried to be promoters. Won't name names, but they really botched it really bad, and a few got blacklisted from every place locally. That is, yeah, it's kind of rough. So that's why you see a lot of shows in sort of odd places. There's a few more out towards Harrisburg for sure. Philly's Philly. I'm not gonna talk about Philly. It's its own thing. Reading has a couple of spots, but there's nowhere that's consistent, cohesive, and looking for artists, pulling people in. There's no booking agents, reaching out to a lot of artists, and I've talked to, I've gotten to the point where I got to keep track outside of Instagram. So I've got a spreadsheet of like 30 artists, just in the 717 area. I try to chat with them a lot and, see what they're feeling, see what they're trying to do. Cause some people are happy with, just picking up shows wherever they can. If they want to, do it at art galleries or events a little bit farther, cool. But there's a lot of people who are also itching to just perform in their hometown with other artists, connect with other people, see a big crowd, because there's clearly an audience for it. We have F&M, we've got Millersville, we've got Thaddeus Stevens, we got Hack, you got all these college campuses here. That's a huge audience that is not being tapped into,
100%.
especially with hip hop being one of the biggest genres. Why is nobody catering to that? So that's kind of that idea, and that conversation alone is kind of what it drives myself and my people to kind of push that. I'm not saying none of us think we're going to be pioneers or changing anything. We just want to help those who are here, and even if it's not shows, it's studio access, it's producers, it's connecting with other artists to be featured with. It's just getting the community to interact a little more. And I know there was, outside of us, there was maybe one or two other collectives trying to do the same thing, but they sort of, morphed into something different and something unique and fantastic on their own, but it was just a different direction. So it's a slow process. It's difficult. I'm wearing too many hats, as well as being an artist and also just being an individual. I gotta keep the lights on. I gotta go about my day. I gotta do other things.
And a microfreeze.
Yeah, I'm traveling, this and that. So it's slow and it's difficult, but the goals are there and the proof already exists that it can be done. I've got 4 or 5 shows under my belt now that I've completely managed on my own, where it's full rap lineups at places that previously didn't want full rap lineups. So proud of that. And a lot of artists are really happy that that opportunity is there and happy to be a part of it.
There you go. Well, we got one more song from you. We have Yume. Tell me about that.
So that's another Juice Box song. Yume comes from the Japanese word for dream, which there's a little indie game. I don't know if you're a gamer. Yume Nikki. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's an old indie game it's like a kind of a side scroller 2D retro SNES looking thing. Kind of a horror game, kind of just a surrealist art project, somewhere in between. It's cool. I think I sampled one of the songs on that, and I was just like, I like the title. I'll just use that. And yeah, it just became this sort of dreamy, vibey song that just made it over winter when it's, you're constantly just kind of looking out and just a little bit of snow outside the window. It's just a good vibe. And, lyrics are, like I said, Juice Box lyrics. They're melancholy, introspective, and sort of sad, kind of fun. It's a bubbly, sort of low-key song.
Let's take a listen.
Run that motherfucker back.
Hunting on the dash when I'm swerving off the road. I ain't found cash on my mind, that's for sure. Waiting on the line to my fast son I go. Imitate my idols and you know it's on the low. 40 in my car, fighting till the one I bone. Always feeling heavy, always feeling in my soul. Now you're really gone, leaving nothing but a hole. Rattling up my mind, all the time, see the smoke. I'ma take 'em back to the days on the block where a beam always glow. Peeking through my windows, now he crawling on the floor. Wanna buy some heat and a need for something more. Guess I learned a lesson, guess it taught me never fall. Better work a little fucking harder before I go. Even if I'm tired and I'm going till I'm old, I'ma do this shit till I'm nothing but some bones. I don't need to say no more, hey. I've been really out here trying to keep it on the low. Dealing with my problems even when I'm all alone. Know there's issues that I'm hiding deep within my bones. Rather keep it real with you till the day I go. Woke up choking in my back from what I'm going through. Never lied about my shit, I thought I told you. Though I won't give up, just know I want to. Almost every day feel like I don't know what to do. What's inside my head tell me that I'm gonna lose. But I'm fighting for my life and that includes you. I'ma get in line and make another breakthrough. Life is speeding up fast and there's a better motherfucker. 100 on the dash when I'm swerving off the road. 100,000 cash on my mind, that's for sure. Waiting on the line to move fast and I go. Imitate my idols and you know it's on the low. 40 in my car, fighting tunnel when I bump. Always feeling heavy, always feeling in my soul. Now you're really gone, leaving nothing but a hole. Rattling up my mind all the time, see the smoke.
Short films for it.
You want to start getting into movie marketing?
No,
Or
making movies. Yeah, love to.
Why?
I used to make movies all the time. If it wasn't music I was making, like actively, I was making movies. I was writing scripts. I was playing with cameras. I was making short films, and whether I post them online or nobody saw them, I made like a dozen movies since I was a teenager.
Did you come see them?
Is there a whole community here
There's
that
a
I'm
whole
not thinking about?
community- There's a cool community right here at the SRCC. I'm going to take this chance because it's a perfect plug for my own event.
That's great.
We host short cinema showcases here at the SRCC, where we take that into the event room. We take off all the noise canceling boards and we
Yeah.
put a projector up on the screen, and we get 5 or 6 movies from local people. We make a whole event out of it.
Dude,
People can
that's
come
awesome.
in, get popcorn, and watch some local film.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to get in touch with people, especially around here. I'm up in New York all the time, and I would love to get in touch with people up there too. But even just when I'm here, just starting out, find the local scene of that too. Because like I said,
there is a Lancaster Film and TV group on Facebook, and they have their monthly meetings every month around the end of the month. So, and that's a really great place to get connected. And then there's like the Red Rose Film Festival
Yep.
that happens every now
I
and
know
then.
about the Red Rose one. I know about Off the Reel.
Yep. We're gonna start our own with the Short Cinema Showcase.
Okay.
Because apparently, you wouldn't believe this if you're into social media. Short Cinema Showcase, that tag wasn't taking anywhere.
Really?
Not even Gmail.
Huh.
So now it's mine.
Okay. Good.
So,
Snag it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would love to do that because with Liminal Space Records, despite records being in the name, it's kind of it's a bit more than that. It's business. But it's also a collective. It's also a record label, but it's also an art showcase. You know, we've got artists that we're trying to promote. We got not just music artists. We've got digital artists. You know, I know a few painters. Yeah. And thought about changing the name to Productions or something like that, but it just doesn't roll as well. So Liminal Space Records is like it's records of art overall. So that's the long-term sort of goal with that, outside of just pushing shows and hip-hop and stuff like that, and artists, music artists. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. We'll talk about the film stuff because, like I said, I'm very into that. Very into that.
Speaking of film, I have my own film coming out in theaters.
Really?
Yeah.
We talked about this. Yes, you need to send me the details of this, and I need to.
So we just got distribution down in Latin America. So
That's awesome.
we're waiting and hoping and praying for the American film industry to work quickly.
That's awesome.
Because we have a distributor, but you know,
Got to get it out there.
gotta get it out there. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. Otherwise, back to you. We have a few minutes left, so I want to ask you the questions I like to ask all my guests.
Sure.
And so, what is one of the funniest or worst things that's ever happened to you on stage?
With as in I'm on stage. Oh man. I haven't had anything too crazy. Just like little things. The DJ screws up timing of something. I think he heard one of my tags and he killed the song at one point. That was kind of funny. Because one of my tags is like, "Yo JB, run that MF back," and he's like, "Run it back, all right." Spins the disc, cuts the whole set. I was like, "What are you doing?" That's not that bad though, because you can laugh that off. I've seen some people get really mad about that. I'm like, dude, just laugh it off. It's funnier. Oh, I have had in the same night, in the same span of time, I had someone both talking smack on us to one of our own guys, one of our LS guys. At the same time, like he was over there, he's talking smack about our set. We're talking to the crowd, just trying to interact, basic stuff like how y'all doing tonight, yada yada yada. Like y'all dig us, we're MBK, this and that. There was a couple of chicks front row who were so not into it, Like I don't know why they were even front row anyway. They were there, and you could just see them like scowling. And as soon as I said that, like, y'all laughing with us tonight, they just like spun around and pushed through the back and got out of there. I was like, we don't know them. They were there for someone else. And we know because we saw them hanging out with that other artist, or other crew. But their reaction directly to us was just so funny. We couldn't help but kind of laugh for a sec. And yeah, that was just like right to your face. I was like, you kind of need that though. I like.
You need to be humbled a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's kind of funny. Like I've seen that like once or twice. I've seen people kind of like some people come and go. It's whatever. It's kind of weird, at least for MBK. Old heads always stay. I don't know what it is. It must be like something in the, something in the formula that we're doing that old heads, they always come up to us after and say something. It's crazy.
There you go. Well, what is one mistake that maybe you've made or you've seen other artists make in this industry? How can we curb that for the future?
First thing, I keep saying it. Don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
Have fun. You're gonna make cheesy music. You're gonna make bad songs. Your image is never gonna be right. Your art is never gonna be perfect. Just try to enjoy it. I completely understand taking it super serious. I definitely do take my stuff serious. But one mistake that I've seen a lot of local artists, especially local artists, I'm not going to name names so nobody gets too mad, but there's so much ego. There's so much ego. There's so much ego that it actually ruins things. And it gets really frustrating. Like when I say we're in some of our songs, we're kind of making fun of like lyrics and styles from other people. Sometimes they are direct jabs. But we try to be classy about it. There's nothing like, we're not hating on anybody. It's just kind of like, drop the ego, man. You're not going anywhere. Like, there's a lot of people who just want to be local celebrities, and that's something you gotta get out of your head. If you really want to take it seriously, and it's not just a hobby, and you want to go somewhere, honestly, the last place you're gonna be actually liked is your hometown. That's what every major artist says. That's what every major artist that I've spoken with, been inspired by, they all say the same thing. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's a mistake that kind of keeps people down. Is their own ego. You gotta get past it a little bit and just kind of accept that it's not great. You're gonna go to shows that nobody goes to. You're gonna be making music that nobody listens to for a bit. It's okay.
That's fine.
It is fine. It's fine. Enjoy it. Like I said, I made movies. Nobody knows. I'm finding out there's a local scene. I want to jump in. Maybe it'll become something. It's never too old because your old stuff is always new to someone who's never heard it.
There you go. Where can people find you at?
Instagram, TikTok, my website. My Instagram handle is juicebox_artist or ls_records or nbk.lsr. I'm sure you'll tag it on your socials. Our website is liminalspacerecords.com. You can look up Liminal Space Records. We're 99% of the time the first thing that pops up.
Nice.
I don't think of anywhere else. Spotify, every streaming service, Juice Space Box, Natural Born Killas with an AS at the end. Lot to plug. That's about it. Yeah.
Well, there you go. My name is Corey Rosen, and this has been the Story Podcast. If you would like to see or check out any of the other previous 248 episodes, you're 249. Yeah. Episodes, you can go over to CoreyRosenProductions.com. That's CORYROSEN Productions.com. And with all that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you guys later. Bye.